Welcome back to Sunday School, guys. So Miss Jill here has a few activities we can do that go along with the choosing the seven. Make sure you've listened to the Bible story or at least read it on your own. Remember, it's choosing the seven, and it's from the book of Acts, verse 6, verse 6, or chapter 6, verse 1 through 7, rather. Check that out if you haven't already. That way the activities will make a little bit more sense to you. And we'll dive right into it. So first things first, I will be posting another coloring page that goes along with it. So you can see it's just the seven being chosen and anointed for service. If you've got a printer, great. Print out some copies and have your kids color it or kid color it. If you don't, such is life, no big deal. There's plenty of other stuff we can do. So the first activity we can do is really good, especially for younger kids, because one of the ways to cue remembering the story is to focus on the number seven. So there were seven men that were chosen to be responsible for feeding the hungry or poor. And so you can make number seven relief art. So use some masking tape to create a number seven on a piece of paper or cardboard, and then allow your kids to paint or color or use markers or however they want all over the board. And then once you peel the tape back, a number seven should remain. And that can serve as a reminder of this story and what we talked about and what we're going to talk about with this story, the different themes involved. So that's the first artistic option. We do have a song option. So it goes to the tune of the Muffin Man. And it's called Do You Know? And I love this option because it can help kind of jog your child's memory of what church was like before coronavirus hit our country. Because the song is all about asking, well, do you know the people that do this in your church? So in the story, seven were chosen to feed the hungry, feed the poor. So that way they didn't have to worry about teaching and doing other things. They were acting out in service, and they were going to focus on what they were good at. And then you have teachers that focus on what they're good at and do the things that they're good at doing. And so that's the aspect I think we can really emphasize with this story, is that God gives us all gifts and talents, and he wants us to use those in the best way we can. And so I wasn't gifted with huge musical talent. We'll preface me singing a song by saying that. But I was given a gift of being able to share God's story with people of all ages. So I'm using that gift, and I'm trying not to worry about the fact that my singing voice is not as great as many of the other people at St. Paul that are able to share their musical talents with us. So the song is Do You Know? I encourage you can sing it together, and then you can actually have your children, if they can, respond. They can sing a verse right after, like answering the question. So there are 4 verses that I'm going to outline, but you can definitely do more if you can think of other tasks at church, which I know off the top of my head I can. Especially if you have Splash students, you can do like, well, who serves snacks at Splash? And they can remember that it's Miss Kathy. Miss Emery's doing it. Okay. Do you know who teaches you, teaches you, teaches you? Do you know who teaches you when you go to church? So if you have a 4th through 6th grader, they would sing back. Miss Bowman teaches me, teaches me, teaches me. Miss Bowman teaches me when I go to church. Next verse. Do you know who sings for you, sings for you, sings for you? Do you know who sings for you when you go to church? 3rd verse. Do you know who welcomes you, welcomes you, welcomes you? Do you know who welcomes you when you go to church? And the last prepared verse in here, but as I said, feel free to make up some more on your own. Do you know who rocks the babies, rocks the babies, rocks the babies? Do you know who rocks the babies when you go to church? So have fun with it. If you can if you manage to record a child singing that, I would love to see it so much. It would make my whole month probably. So yeah, please send it my way. And speaking of which, if you have any recordings of Lord's Prayer or music being performed by any kids, we would love to have those to include in our worship services this month as well. The final activity you can do is the next meal you have together, or even later on in the week when you're having a meal, practice serving each other. So the 7 were chosen to serve the hungry and serve the poor food. And so you can remind yourselves, like take turns, like have a plate and have your child carry it to the table and they serve you. Especially, pick any meal of the week and do this, and it can remind them of that story and how we can serve each other and serve God by using the talents he gives us. Okay, that's all for now, guys. Remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Have a great week.